before we get into today's fucking banger of an episode with the one and only Maurice Clarett, big ups to the members of the Patreon. We got Daniel Gibson, Mahul Patel, Abel Rezin, Ben Kotzian, Christopher Velasquez, Derek Platees, Dylan Chadwick, Jerry Shapiro, Jordan Riley, Mike Stevens, Nick Crummich, and Thomas Robinson. Thank you all for your contributions to the Patreon. For the month of October, if you are in the $10 tier or higher, you'll be eligible to win a autographed Ohio State Maurice Clarett helmet.
Whoa.
That's going to be the giveaway for October. Shout out to Maurice. He told me as long as you're paying for the helmets, Nick, I'll sign as many as you want. So one of the gifts is going to be to you. One is going to be to me. And then one we're going to give to the members of the Patreon. Patreon.com/Veterans Minimum. And shouts to Maurice for making that happen. George is with me on this episode. The Monday show is up with one Jasmine Montoya. She's a pro fighter. You were going to be on that show too, man, but you just couldn't make it because of scheduling. Last week was a wacky week. We moved the days because I went to some UFC Apex event for jiu-jitsu, and it was the Vegas Tech Summit. It was super dope. Really interesting crowd there. So check out the Monday show. Already getting some really good feedback about that. We'll be back with a preview show for week 6 on Thursday. So we love you guys. Thank you for the support. The support's been amazing. George, it feels like every week that we're coming back on, we're getting another 1,000 to 2,000 subscribers. We're at 21,000 subscribers now. We were at 15,000 at the start of the football season. I told George, I was like, yo, I want to get to 25K for everything. And we're almost there. Yeah, we're almost there already. Yeah, man, it's just been great. I'm super grateful. We'll talk about it on the next show, but
yeah. Keep leaving comments. We like comments.
Yeah.
Comments push it. Just even good, bad, indifferent.
Yeah. Yo, Nick, you're an idiot. Nice pick.
Boom.
But perfect. Yeah, I like that. We can't always be right. We went 0-3 on our week 5 picks, but anytime touchdown, Daddy's back. We are here.
This is a comment we need to see on this episode. Maurice Clarett should be the permanent co-host. Just 1,000 of those. Then we could be like, hey, Mo, they want you, bro.
And look, man, now that you're saying comments, share the content on your social media. Tag us. We're gonna start giving away merch on every episode. So again, it's at Veterans Minimum. All things Veterans Minimum are at Veterans Minimum. Leave a rating, leave a review, 5-star Frog Splash review on Spotify. Write a comment, even if it's negative. If you give us 5 stars, you can say whatever else you want. 5 stars is super popping, right?
Yeah. I know it sounds weird. Verbally abuse me.
Yeah, whatever. Look, some people are into that.
I'm into it as long as you do it in the comments.
If you do it in the comments, cool. You don't do it in the comments, we might have to slap on a Darce and we're not letting go when you tap out, right?
You're just telling your mom that like how you feel about me and you're not writing it in the comments. Weak shit. Yeah,
and I know we're being silly, but it goes a long way to building the show. And we're popping up on algorithms. It's doing really well. And again, subscribe to the YouTube channel, youtube.com/Veterans Minimum. The show is going to be live on YouTube every Tuesday and Thursday at 9 a.m. Eastern, 6 a.m. Pacific time. Thank you all for listening. Enjoy this week 5 fallout with Maurice Clarett. A fucking banger of a conversation to start the show. And then, yeah, man, we get right into it. So sit back, relax, enjoy. And we'll talk to you guys next time.
Yeah. Nick Dad, baby. We the new label.
Yeah. Now this the black sheep sticking it to him. I need a crib like I'm Gatsby.
I need it
in hand, just understand
My pocket's that deep.
with nothing to prove. I ain't got nothing to do. When they can't compete and I got nothing to lose.
Yes, what's good, everybody? Welcome back to Veterans Minimum, the #1 sports betting vibe on the planet.
Facts.
I'm your handsome host, Nick Dais, at Nick Dais 10 as you can find me. All things Veterans Minimum are at Veterans Minimum. The man to my left, might have seen him on ESPN, might have seen him on college recaps, storming the field like an asshole, but with pride, baby.
Oh, dude, it felt so good. You could hear it. My voice today, if you've been listening to the show for a while, it definitely sounds different. Like I was one of the difference makers on Saturday night. I was screaming so hard, bro. I've never felt like an out of body experience while cheering on my brother, but like it was an out of body experience on some of those third downs. I was acting crazy. But we were nowhere near the Tennessee players as I stormed the field. Thank God. Cause it was rowdy, bro. It felt like war. Like we won a war.
Were you tossing back some cold ones or no?
I mean, of course.
Yeah,
of
now
course,
we're talking, baby.
Of course. How else can you muster up the courage to scream for 4 quarters? But yeah, dude, it was awesome. It was an amazing experience. Go Hogs. And this week they get a bye week, so it's awesome, dude. Yeah.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
I thought when you were first saying you saw this person on ESPN, he's prominent figure, you may have seen, but then you said storm the field, and I knew it wasn't our guest, our special guest.
Nah, it's not our special guest because he reps and he is down with a school that don't really storm the field much because they just whoop people's ass anyway.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, I think on average this year they've been like 35-point favorites. So the Ohio State Buckeyes, they don't really storm the field, bro. You know, schools like Vanderbilt do it, right? High SAT scores at Vanderbilt.
True.
Ohio State ain't doing that. Maybe when they smoke Michigan, they'll do that. But for the most part, they don't do that. And the guy joining the show today, life is crazy, bro. Because this is a friend. This is someone that I friended over the last year. He's a focal point of what we're building over at It Is What It Is with Mace, Cam, and Stat. He is a fucking icon in college football, a dude who was ahead of his time with his mindset and what he wanted to do. And now fast forward to what you're seeing now, this guy kind of got a head start on it, even though things didn't go as planned.
Right.
Now he's flourishing. And Maurice Clarett on the show joining us. And I've wanted to tell you this, bro. I appreciate you. Fun fact, I hit up Maurice and I was like, hey, man, can I get you on the show Monday? And he was like, bro, for you, anything. And to that, you know how that makes me feel, right, George?
Oh, no Bluetooth needed on that one.
Let's go.
What's up, Mo?
My man, Nick. What's going on, y'all?
Dude, I haven't had a chance to tell you this because I wanted to tell you sincerely from the bottom of my heart on the show. And I know I'm pretty, I don't know if stubborn is the right word, bro, but Maurice, sometimes I'd be avoiding having people on the show on call because I want to get them in the studio. And then George talked me into the idea of, man, why don't we just get these people on the show? And then when they do come to Vegas, they'll remember us because everyone always has a good time when they come on the show. And then we bring them in the studio. So then the first time they come into the studio to do the show, it's not that awkwardness in the beginning. They've kind of have an idea of the vibe of the show. And dude, when I tell you this, man, I mean this sincerely. I'm so proud of you, bro, because my favorite people on the planet, dude, and this is the God's honest truth, are people that once were on, had it go south for them, and didn't sulk. They didn't bitch. They didn't say, oh, shucks, why me? Nah, you fucking rebuilt yourself. And to that, I'm so proud of you. I'm happy to call you a friend, and I'm happy that you're giving us the time on our show.
I appreciate it, man. I definitely appreciate it. The funny thing is that you say that, but that's also some of the people I admire most. You know, people who have life experiences that, you know, whether some self-inflicted, some are some happen from the outside, from others doing it to them. But at the end of the day, you don't sit and sulk inside of you know, what's happened. You know, you take accountability for your part and where your life being is where it's at, and then, you know, you pick up the pieces and start to rebuild your life. But, you know, had I not rebuilt my life, you know, I would have never been on the show as long as I've been on the show, would have never met you. I would have never done so many wonderful things in my life had I sat there and bitched and complained and, you know, do all that stuff that people do when things go wrong.
Yeah, man. And like, shit, I have people in my life, Maurice, that are like that. Like, oh, why me? How come? Bro, I don't fuck with them at all, dude. I don't want to hear that. I don't want to be around that. I'm like, dude, I had shit I went through also. You know, I was telling the story recently how I put $50,000 of my own money when I was making $500 a week for 6 years with my dad into this fucking food truck because I got sold on this idea from my parents and my family. And, you know, half that money was mine. The other half, my grandma took out of her will because she was like, yo, what are you going to do with that 20 years from now? You need it now. And then the pandemic hits. We lose that food truck. Super long story short, I'm asked out of $50K. Fast forward a couple years later, I link up with Cam and Mace. I get tossed this bonus. And it's not to flex or anything in terms, pocket watches. Maurice knows about the pocket watches, things we always talk about on It Is What It Is. But like, bro, at the time, you don't realize the shit that's going down. Mm-hmm. And I could have just sat there and sulked and bitched and moaned. And again, like, Mo, I've wanted to tell you this, bro, but I wanted to wait until you were on the show for me to tell you, dude. I appreciate everything that you stand for.
I definitely appreciate you saying it. And I think it's funny, when I was in 2024, and it's funny how you can create a relationship with somebody so many miles away just through, being a part of the same show, building the same program, sharing laughs and jokes and, all the stuff that we share through our text threads. And I just laugh to myself and I say, man, just how times have changed. Before you used to have to, be in the same place and grow up in the same neighborhood and all that other stuff. But technology has made it in a way where there's a lot of people, other people who do actually support the show. You end up getting internet friends. You know what I'm saying? I'm not even sure what you call it, but you get like an internet family, and then, things kind of progress and they grow from there. And then, you just create real bonds with people. But that's the beauty of technology, the beauty of where we're at in America. But it's likewise. And I think the mutual spirit for me with you is just somebody who you're building what I would like to believe will be a massive, what do you call it, media company. You know what I'm saying? To just be on the front side, to be with Mace, Cam, Stat, yourself, and everybody else who helps that thing to move into what it is. I feel fortunate to be a part of that, and just fortunate that those guys called me. And I tell them I'm grateful and thankful all the time. And just again, man, even I hope if somebody hears this, I just remember so many times I used to listen to, and I know we're talking about sports here in a second, but I'll get to that. But I just remember when I was down and out, I would listen to just so many different either motivational speeches, personal development speeches, or anything just to kind of get my mind and my mentality in the right place to be where I'm at. And just even when you're talking about the 50,000 that was lost in the food truck, the only thing that kind of got you out of that space was just the appropriate mentality. And I just don't think people realize that, just working on your mentality in general allows you for your perspective to be healthy, and then allows you to take action towards whatever it is that you're doing. So, man, glad that we met. Glad that, even you all have helped me to come back into the sporting world, because believe it or not, it was distant to me. So me coming back into the sporting world has obviously opened up different gates, like even back down to Ohio State and all the other stuff. So appreciate everybody who helps to make that thing happen. That is what it is.
Yeah, I mean, Mo, I'll hop in here, dude. Being a sports person my whole life, I played at UNLV. I was a walk-on. I tore my ACL and I stopped playing football after that. And I was really disconnected, and I didn't get back into podcasting till 2 years later. I was like, you know what, man, I got to make the jump. I gotta be bold. And even though I stopped playing the game I love, like, I still wanted to be in the sports space. So, like, can you just tell me, like, how did that feel for you, being such an icon and a legend, being removed from that space to then try to pave your way back? Because you're crushing it on It Is What It Is, man.
Oh no, funny story. So I had been disconnected from sports altogether. So a lot of people would see me, probably over the last decade, get invited to talk to different sporting teams. But it was nothing that I was ever doing, pursuing, or even trying to do. It was just people reaching out to me and asking me, can I come and share my experience? And actually, my initial gateway back into sports was the UConn men's basketball team. Through Coach Hurley and Kimani and just the coaching staff up there. I kind of got through sports, collegiate sports, by connecting with them. And I've been with them since, I think, since 2019, 20, somewhere around there up until now. I had watched them rebuild the whole program and watched them just establish the brand for men's basketball they have now. And just to be honest, I had always I don't know if you say had bad feelings, but I just didn't have any feelings towards football just because how things ended was so bad with me. But it wasn't a good feeling, a bad feeling, it wasn't anything. But when Cam had hit me up and he said, hey, man, do you still keep up with sports, and do you want to be a part of a sports show? I just said, yeah, because it was with him. And I knew I was smart enough to pick up what was going on. And I always have an opinion on whatever I'm seeing. So I said, man, I'll figure it out and I'll make it work. And so it was through that platform. And I think that's kind of what I was saying to Nick. It was through that conversation or Cam hitting me up that I actually got back into sports. And so I just start watching them, and I'm a nerd. I love to read a lot, or I love to study a lot, anything that I'm into. And I knew I would do a good job if I just focused on it. But that's literally how I got back into sports. And so for me, stepping back into sports and people seeing I'm interested in sports, um, it basically brought me back down to Ohio State. It brought me back into the social spotlight. So I wasn't joking when I said I appreciate, like I understand what Nick does for the show. I appreciate it. I understand what Mace does for the show. Cam does for the show. I understand what Stat does for the show. So I really appreciate everything. So it was therapeutic for me. And never in a million years would I think, or did I think that I would basically land back on sports through Cam hitting me up on IG.
right.
Never in a million years. You know what I'm saying? And so it just let me know the universe wanted me back into space, and
Yep.
I'm just happy it happened.
Yeah, dude, it's the perfect storm, and it's always inside of you. And I'll say this, and you probably are starting to see it now. The best content creators come from a sports background or come from a team element, because everybody's got their role, but you just got to find that right mesh. And I know the role I play on VM, and man, I'm grateful that we're all being able to do this today for sure.
I heard someone say something really interesting, and it's like a lot of people rather be broke bosses than rich teammates. Someone used it in a rap song. I think it was on Gilly and Wallow. Fabulous might have said it. And it's true, man, because like on this show, I'm head honcho.
Mm-hmm.
On It Is What It Is, I'm behind the scenes. I edit. I do a lot of different things. And like, I'd rather be a rich teammate than a broke boss. So I much rather do this. Last thing I want to say about this, man, and my generation, we're big on giving flowers. And dude, I don't know if you remember this, but when I first met you here at the studio, it was during the Super Bowl week, and I was having such a good week. Like, we had Stephen A on the show. We had Bill Krackenberger and Warren Sharp, these two really sharp, smart, professional bettors, Maurice. And dude, my favorite moment was what you told me. You came up to me and you're like, yo, when I started really liking you, bro? You posted that you started doing this show in your basement. And you're like, that's when I really respected you. And that meant a lot to me, man. I just wanted to let you know that, I have moments in my life where someone puts a battery in my back and it just carries me for the next 6 to 7 months. And then, I'm grateful enough that this shit seems to be happening every week for me. And it took a while, it took a while. Maurice, you mentioned how Cam hit you up randomly. Dude, I fucking showed up to work one day when I wasn't supposed to at the time that I did. And Larry's in the control room. Cam is right here in the middle of the studio. He's on his phone. And I say, what up to Larry? And then Cam turns around and I go, yo, is that fucking Camron? Mind you, lifelong New Yorker here. Dipset was my shit. And then Larry was just like, bro, Killer? I was like, of course, bro. I'm from Queens and all this shit. I just moved out here. He's like, yo, you got to meet him, bro. You might be the one. And then I was like, what the fuck is he talking about? And now I see everything that's transpired. And now we got Maurice Clarett, Ohio State fucking icon, on the show, baby. One more round of applause.
Oh, wait.
Maurice. Let's go, man.
Oh, wait, baby.
Let's go. Mo, we do this thing on the show where we get a question from a fan. And
Okay.
we allow the fans to sort of produce the show in this sense. It's the fan question of the day. And this one comes from Chris in the Discord. If you guys want to join the Discord, patreon.com/veteransminimum for $5 American. You guys could be in the Discord. Mo, this question is about the NIL, and I found it really interesting to ask someone like you. How different do you think your career and life would be if you had played football now with things like the NIL being so prevalent? And why would you say your life would be different?
They would be drastically different. I was when I did play, I was just one of those kids who were a gym rat. I was a kid who would, go lift all day, go run all day, go condition all day, go watch film all day. And I really believe that had I stayed in college and just, focused on the game in general, that I wanted to be, and I would have been one of the greats in college. And, obviously I would have went on to the NFL. And so I don't know if the kid knows why I actually got suspended. There was a transmission. My car had basically went bad and I couldn't afford $2,000 to fix a transmission. And this was after the school had made $120 million over 4 months when we played. And, just naturally, if I was able to afford a car, I wouldn't have had to use a car. Had I not used a car, I would have not been up under NCAA sanctions to basically get suspended. I also got suspended for allowing a booster to pay for my cell phone. And the booster I paid for my cell phone from my junior year in high school to my freshman year in college. And every single month that the booster had paid for my cell phone, the NCAA categorized that as a different infraction. And so one cell phone and probably, 36 bills turned into 36 different infractions, even though it was just one cell phone and somebody was just paying for it. And so just being able to take care of myself, being able to just, buy yourself the basic necessities and, have a part of, what was basically being generated in college would have drastically changed my life. And I would have been able to focus on football and potentially, stay for 3 years and then go to the NFL. But things happen, and I'll tell you this, and I do want to add this because I do add this at every point. I'm very, I would say, fortunate that all that shit happened, and I don't say it just from a cliche way. Had I not basically ruined my life and left college, I never would have respected education. I never would have got my mind right in regards to what can I do outside of the football field. And so, had I got all that money in college, I was still thinking like, I was still in the streets. I still thinking like I was like this inner city dude who had to take care of 1,000 people and all that shit that everybody goes through. So, things happened the way they did. I'm happy that kids and the game is at where it's at now. But I would like to believe that just for some of my immediate needs, they would have been met. But I still don't know if I had not gone through what I've gone through. I don't know if my mentality would have switched. If that makes sense.
No, totally, man.
Yeah, dude.
It definitely makes sense. You got anything?
Yeah, I was just gonna. I mean, as that's happening for you, there's nowhere in your head that you're like, this is going to have those repercussions. What happened to those people that were assisting you?
Oh, are you talking about the boosters or just friends?
Yeah. I guess the boosters or the coach that was paying for your phone bill. Like,
No, I mean he was a guy from high school. He was just a gentleman who owned a restaurant, and so just for context, I left my mother's house at 15. So I moved out of my mother's house, and when I was in high school, sophomore, junior, and senior year, I was living on my own. And so he was just somebody helping me and assisting me because they were happy that I was out of the hood, and it was like, yo, if you just have a different environment, you have resources, you can basically become somebody special. So he was the guy who was just assisting me in doing so. He's still a friend to this day because I still believe in my heart he didn't do anything wrong, nor was he intentionally buying anything or doing anything expecting tickets or some sort of payback. It was just somebody who loved football. He loved the high school program, and he wanted me to basically play for the high school and move on with life. So he's a friend. The people who are in college, I never got like, 5,000, 10,000, 20,000. I got $280 to go to a gentleman's birthday party. There was a car dealer who had another car on their lot that they weren't using that they gave to me. You know what I'm saying? I don't know where the guy Jacob is at now, but these were just regular guys. So I don't have like a history of some big payday of some sort. So all of the people who were involved, like these people are still friends. There was nobody who ever tried to, we gave you 25,000 or 50,000, and then you owed us 100 grand once you got drafted. It just wasn't that type of environment. So for the most part, those guys are still friends.
no, that's interesting. That's interesting because I mean, like with the way everything panned out. I mean, just going back to our earlier conversation, there's a lot of people that have been like, I'm leaving that. I'm leaving that behind. And that's that sucks. But Nick.
Bro, listen, I've been doing this show since 2015. The people that have been listening to this show know what my stance is on all this. It's fucking stupid, right? I'd use another word, but due to our political climate now, I can't say that. However, really dumb because my stance was always this, and this is the God's honest truth. I never knew or I never thought all kids should get paid because, like, how do you pay the starting quarterback? Like, how do you pay Tim Tebow at Florida, and then what are you going to pay the punter, right? Like, I don't know what the number would be. But bro, if I'm out with my girl and someone's going to pay for my dinner or someone's going to give me a hookup, which is basically what Maurice was getting in trouble for, like dudes are hooking him up. That was crazy to me, bro. That was where I was like, that's fucking ridiculous because bro, that's a hookup, dude.
Yeah.
We live in Vegas. How many people are like, bro, just walk to the front of the line, say that you know me, you'll get in the club. I'm gonna get in trouble for that? Like and Mo, that's the truth, bro. I always felt like, I don't know if every player should get 10K or 8K, whatever, and like the starters get 20K. No, because then there's gonna be animosity amongst the teammates. You know how it is when people start understanding how much money you make. We were talking about pocket watchers. That I couldn't get behind. But the idea that I go to Prime 112 and I'm with my lady and fucking the car salesman in all of, Columbus comes up to me. He's like, oh, dude, killer game you had, bro. Stakes are on me. Get some wine for you and the missus. Now I'm going to get in trouble. That was where I always found it really ridiculous, bro. You're getting in trouble for hookups. That was my stance, has always been the same. But I like what you said, bro, about how that led to you appreciating education and it opened up your mind. And it goes back to how we started this whole conversation, how you could have just sat there and bitched and moaned and sulked, and then you never would have got back off your feet.
But no, I will say this, just to be bluntly honest, I went through that cycle. In that initial cycle, I think when you have something adverse happen to you, the initial cycle is starting to feel sorry for yourself, starting to feel like you're a victim, and you just start to realize that produces a certain result. And it's not until you say, fuck it, it doesn't matter whose fault it is, like it's my life. And I think that's the cycle that everybody has to get to, whatever you go to, because like sometimes shit happens. Shit's going to happen to you because of what somebody else did. Shit's going to happen because of what you've done. But you ultimately have to wake up at the end of the day and say, what the fuck do I want to do with myself? And I tell you what, like when you're going through those down moments and you see people laughing or you see people say, now you see I was right because he fucked himself up. You just have to ask yourself, is this how I want to be remembered? You know what I'm saying? And it's not solely about them, but it's about you looking at yourself and outwardly facing the public and say, like, is this what I want people to think of me? Is this what I want my daughter to grow up and say, hey, my father ran into this trouble right now and he just fucking curled up and cried like a bitch, or he gave up, or just any of that stuff. You know what I'm saying? And just like the rewards of my life is like you saying this, you know what I'm saying? You saying, hey man, I seen that, right? The rewards of my life is, I don't know if you remember back like the first or second, third show I did on It Is What It Is, Mike Tyson, when he was in Columbus, Ohio, Mike Tyson came to me and said, man, hey, I was getting ready to have an orgy with 7 girls. And he said, I remember we were in a party in California and I remember how fucked up you were. But he said, when I see you on TV and it was looking like you were healthy, it made me get my life together. So this was fucking Mike Tyson. So I never knew in a million years just me getting myself together would have a positive impact on Mike Tyson. And so these are my victories, but it let me know whatever I was thinking inside of that moment where I was fucked up, it made sense to say, man, get your ass up. I was just with Frank Gore this weekend. When I was with Frank Gore said, man, like I'm around you and I seen you get yourself back together. It's inspiring. It's encouraging. You know what I'm saying? So I appreciate what you said. I appreciate what Mike said, but me wanting to hear that from other people allowed me to continue to work on myself to make sure that, I'm just a fucking better human being and that you can contribute to the world. So I hope that doesn't sound cheesy or corny, but it's definitely something that's heartfelt and something I'm proud of.
Nah, man, I think that's genuine, and it definitely comes off as genuine for sure. And the last question before we start getting into some NFL stuff, it kind of ties into what you're saying now. You're leading by example, right? And you're telling people based off their experiences. When you're talking to these student athletes, you're talking to maybe a kid that is a walk-on student athlete also, but you're addressing them, right? Mo, I like to use advice from people that have more life experience than me as a time machine. It's like, yo, you've lived an extra decade and you have these experiences. You're basically giving me free game. If you ever see me listening to people who I respect and are ahead of me in life as far as age, I'm all eyes and ears, bro. Like I'm taking that all in. With that said, do you find yourself addressing these student athletes and maybe you're getting disappointed that they're not hearing what you're saying because you're trying to give them free game and they're kind of just like, whatever, I'll figure it out myself?
I don't get frustrated because I understand that I just understand I was in that situation at times where people was giving me all of the information that I needed and that would have been beneficial in my life. But the only reason that it didn't work out was because I just didn't have the life experience to put what they're saying in context, right? So you can give somebody great experience, but I found out content and context. If you can't put the appropriate content in the right context, then it won't relate to your life, right? And there's also, if you're trying to advise somebody on how to have wisdom from a bad situation, there's also a level of like, well, you went through that shit. I won't go through that shit, or I don't believe I'll go through that shit, right? And what ends up happening with most of these student athletes, I end up getting people either reached out through IG, through text message after they go through something bad, right? So it's never in the moment that I have like some influence. It's, oh, I remember this guy who went through that shit. Now I'll listen to him because I'm in a bad situation. But then I've also helped some people out of a bad situation. They've got to a better situation. And then it's back to the space where you can't hear them. And I think wisdom is just like a lifelong thing. It's never like one conversation, it's constant conversation that you have with somebody that grows a relationship and things of that nature. There's another element to this too, that if you don't have a presence in somebody's life, you can't influence them. You know what I'm saying? So whoever, like most of these kids, their goals and the things that they want to achieve is all centered around the head coach or the position coach, right? Excuse me. So they categorize you as a speaker and you just become something that fills the time. It's not until like you break out and you get into a back room where y'all start having personal conversation and then they feel like some level of connectivity through, oh, you come from where I come from, or you understand what I'm talking about with this stuff that I'm dealing with, or, you know, they'll swear that they have some crazy situation that you wouldn't understand. But as you look to them eye to eyes, y'all talking, they'll say, okay, like I can see that this guy gets it, and you'll give them advice for the moment. And you know, that's just sort of my experience. And so I don't really get frustrated. I understand, but I'll just keep on talking to a kid. But what I try to influence them through is through books. And so an objective piece of material that I know will grow them or grow their mind, their mentality. I always give James Allen as a man thinketh. And if we can start having discussion around that, then that's an objective piece of information that will at least let me know where your mentality is at. And hopefully this book influences you to get into other stuff. And so there's been a few guys who followed and have allowed me to influence them. But the mass majority, you know, they just have to go through life.
No, I totally get it, man. And shit, what you said, I wrote that shit down. If you don't have a presence in someone's life, you can't influence them.
Yeah, dude. Yeah, me being a teacher, they said
that's a bar.
You only learn from the teachers that you like. Yeah. That's why you forget so many teachers, but you remember some because you like them.
Well, so it's the same thing in business, right? You build these relationships, and people buy and listen from people that they like, right? Like that's why you get all these opportunities. Mo, the last thing I'll say on this, because on a lesser scale, when it comes to content, I have a lot of people reach out to me, and I'll tell them what I've been telling people, what it's going to take before I got to where I am now. It's the same shit, right? It's consistency, being disciplined. Like shit, man, I don't always want to record when I show up. I'm not always in the best mood to edit a show when I'm up till 2 a.m. doing it. But it's like, you got to get this shit done. And I'm someone, bro, that when they come to me and they ask me for advice or in anything in my life, I'm asking you twice. I don't even do 3 strikes. Like if George was to come up to me or someone was to come up to me and be like, yo, can you tell me about podcasts? And I'll tell them, and then maybe I'll tell them a second time. After that, if you're not making no changes, I'm out, dude. That's my life is at a point, and I've always been this way, whether it's I go to schedule a meeting with someone like, hey, can you do Tuesday? No, I can't do Tuesday. All right, let's do Thursday. Thursday comes, they canceled again. I'm not calling you a third time. It's with girls, with phone calls I got to make, all that. So to me, to just tie it back to what you were saying, man, some people, like, for as much as you want to help them, they don't even want the help for themselves, bro. So you just over there wasting your time.
No, people don't want responsibility on their lives. I just found it out. A lot of people, you know, hate to say it, fucking babies, bro.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? I'm very nice and smiley on the show, but I'm ruthless, bro. You know, I'm very,
you gotta be
2 strikes, I'm 1 strike.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know, because like, you know, And I say this not from a level of like thinking about my mortality, but bro, when you get older, you start to realize you don't have as much time as you think, you know. And I say it all the time. I don't deal with uncommitted people. You know, I won't let somebody come into my life who's not serious. I typically deal with serious people who are serious about pursuing something, right?
Mhm.
You'll just get a different focus, you'll get a level of follow through, and you'll get a level of diligence of people who respect their own time. So they'll come into your life and they'll operate and move in that same way. And people who just bullshit people, I just don't allow them to get next to me and try to figure out their lives while they're next to me. Like I just don't do it. I think that shit kind of brings you down. And I think once you start setting these hard boundaries with people, people understand how you operate. But then I think also the universe puts the people in your life. Hence the reason me and you are connected, Nick. Right? Just
Yep,
think about
yep.
this. Right? We've been around each other one time, or that for that week when I was in Vegas. Right? But you can call me to Vegas right now and say, "Yo, bro, I need your help with something." But just based on how I see you operate, not only with me, but with everybody within the show, reliable, dependable, just all of the other shit. Like I know I would give you my time and it's time well invested. But there's a lot of people, bro, who just bullshit people who don't deserve your time. And you know, even this may help somebody, and it's you'll get what you'll get. But there's also a reason why you keep on climbing and getting to new heights. Like me improving into my life. Maybe the universe said, "Hey, man, now you can have people in your life like Cam and Mace and Stat and Nick." You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
None of this stuff is by accident. It's not. You know, so as you improve, the people who you are supposed to be around will come into your space. Now, the skill sets and the habits, like maybe veterans minimum is your place to refine your skills and to work on diligence and to work on patience and to work for and work when you don't want to, and then that carries over to the skill set that you then use for it is what it is. You know what I'm saying?
Nah,
So
totally,
that's
man.
what I think about. Like, yeah, just all this stuff.
Yeah.
Everything is preparing you for what's next.
Nah, and look, a wise man once said, "Don't forget the main thing is the main thing." And I
It is.
love that Maurice said that one time because that's how I treat the show. You know, it's unfortunate in this space of media. It seems like every 3-4 months you pull up George, Fox, CBS, or ESPN. Someone's getting fired. Someone's getting let go. And my perspective, because I've been offered Maurice in the past to not do veterans minimum and go join a network in some capacity, whether it's a producer role, whether it's a co-host. But I'm like, man, I want to still do the show, bro, because you guys might turn around in 6 months and be like, oh, the show ain't work. Good, tap you on the back, Vince McMahon style, and be like, good luck on your future endeavors. It's like, nah, I'm gonna keep doing this because I'll stay relevant. I'll stay sharpening my tools and keeping the main thing. This is the thing that got me to the dance. I can't just disrespect it. So that's why I've always treated it the way that I have. And to me, it's like I'm getting my practice reps that allows me to do everything else. And then the last thing I'll say on this, and then I promise we'll get to some football because I'm really enjoying this conversation, man. We've been going about 35 minutes. I haven't had a chance to talk to you in this capacity on the show, and I'm happy that you're opening up and sharing all your stories with us. You mentioned about like things happening for a reason, dude. I met George out here like 2 years ago. I went on someone else's show and we kind of just hit it off the same way Larry, Cam, and myself hit it off. We had the same interest, and now he's the co-host on my show, and he's doing a lot of things behind the camera to help elevate the show. And I do believe that things happen for a reason, and maybe at the time you don't understand, but later you do.
Yeah, no, the universe is very simple. Isn't it like weird? Like once you realize you're in control, like the life really just unveils it yourself. Everybody's put in the right spots in the right situations. You just have to put that effort forth, man. And Mo, I would be remiss to not see if I can get you to talk about a true freshman phenom, Ryan Williams from Alabama this year. What are your thoughts on a young superstar like that, and what is in his future?
Oh, well, I think to say a phenomenal talent is an understatement, you know, and I haven't seen him play a full game. I've seen him play halves, and I've seen highlights. But from the stuff that you can see, there's two things that I really want to say about it. The first thing is that, you know, it's obvious that a lot of this is God-given talent, right? That's one. The second piece of it is that you can attribute this to the well-developed youth system and the 7-on-7 leagues that basically go on all year round. And so when I look at some of the stuff that he's doing, there's no way on God's green earth that you could be able to, run those routes, have that confidence, be great at playing against guys, 3, 4 years older than you, in some cases 5 years older than you, and to have the skill level, the confidence, excuse me, the ability to track the ball, the field presence that he has. Had you not went through a phenomenal 7-on-7 league and 7-on-7 program. And so I know every state doesn't allow high school players to participate in 7-on-7 games. But when you look at Ryan Williams and when you look at Jeremiah Smith at Ohio State, and you see the systems that they've come from and the travel teams that they've come from, you can attribute this to that. And so I guarantee you, moving forward, you'll have more people campaigning to their high school associations, whatever state that they're in. They'll be campaigning to those people to try to make 7-on-7 prevalent, right? And the reason I say that is because more people want to keep in-state kids in state, because now you have NIL, now you're generating money, and it's just a different environment for college sports and high school sports in general. So, one, a phenomenal God-given talent, but two, hats off to the people who developed these 7-on-7 leagues.
Yeah, and I saw that with AAU and basketball, and the thing that basketball has is the thing that you fought for and you petitioned for, and that is, I think that NCAA players that play football should be able to be one and done, and the talent is there. You're a crazy person to say that if Travis Hunter, Ryan Williams, Jeremiah Smith had the ability to go to the NFL next year, that they wouldn't have some sort of impact. You would have made an impact had you been able to do that. So do you think we see this in our lifetime where the youth system has grown so much that these players are just ready to be professionals earlier?
Yeah, I'm going to give you another one. There's a defensive lineman, and I wish I had his name off the top of my head, but he reclassified on purpose to graduate a year early from college. And if I'm not wrong, and somebody will correct me if I'm wrong, I think Ryan Williams reclassified to come to college early, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so if you have these guys speeding up the college process, right? And if you have these guys coming in younger and they're getting to the league younger or wanting to get to the league younger, if you do enough people over time, the NFL product will naturally become younger. And I actually believe it can happen because the rules, right? The rules at the NFL level, right? We've went from the time where the NFL was super aggressive, super brutal, super serious. You had to have this intense mentality to play football. And what does everybody say? Everybody says to themselves, the NFL mentality has become softer. They become softer on quarterbacks. They become softer, right? Because what are they trying to do? They're trying to preserve the product and to allow owners to have players longer. They're doing the same thing at the NBA. Excuse me. You can't foul all crazy. You can't hand check. It is not as physical. What are they trying to do? Preserve the product. What has happened from that? You have guys playing longer. You have load management, so on and so forth. At the end of the day, you may love it as a fan to be crazy and physical and all of that barbaric stuff that we grew up on. But at the end of the day, you're sitting here with 32 team owners, and they're saying, how do I entertain the fans? How do I put points on the board? And if these kids are reclassifying and the game is becoming younger, what can we put in place to allow this to happen? You have to remember the same thing. All of these kids who are coming in the system now, all of these kids come from these passing leagues. So to answer your question, I think it will happen. When it will happen, I don't know. I never thought in a million years I would be on a podcast talking to somebody across the country 20 years ago, talking about how collegiate players are making millions of dollars now. Just think about this. In my lifetime, I was ridiculed for this, right?
Yep.
But now I walk into the same stadium that I was ridiculed in, and they're celebrating and even asking me of ways that they can help to raise money to pay college kids. And so a lot can happen in 20 years, but at the end of the day, everything comes back to the business.
What an answer. What an answer heading into the football talk, bro.
I mean,
it's true.
That's class personified right there.
They'll make the rules.
Yeah,
we want Ryan Williams now.
Yeah.
Those 32 NFL owners are they're going to change it this next year.
Yeah. Let's get these guys in before we get too crazy and they got to stay there longer. All right, let's move on to NFL. I want to do a little recap real quick. So the picks through 5 weeks were 11, 12, and 1 on the year. Silver lining.
Yeah.
You know, I'm a silver linings guy.
Of
and if I
course.
can pat myself on the back, I will for sure. The trust me is 4-1 on the year. The toxic one is 4-0. We had the Bills Texans game as the toxic one. We didn't really give a play. We just said like that game was wacky. And even so, the way it ended was wacky, right? They jumped out to this big lead and Buffalo came storming back.
Yep.
It was just a wacky game. In this economy is now 5-1. Garrett Wilson, shout out to Ohio State. He scored a touchdown over the weekend. And then Adriana is 2-3 with the Bengals plus 2.5. Again, silver lining. Anytime touchdown score, I don't have the script, but I might as well have, bro.
You're
7 of 8 hit. DJ Moore, we almost hit the fucking ladder. Mo, in sports betting, there's this thing called the ladder theory. So basically, if you like a guy to score a touchdown, you bet him to score 1 touchdown. You bet him to score a second touchdown and then to score a third touchdown. And the odds just continue to jump up. And the ladder was DJ Moore for me. He hit the first touchdown for the Bears. Then he got a second one right before the half. And then Caleb Williams had him wide open, bro. Wide open inside the red zone. And he one-hop cricket passed it to him. And I'm watching it with my puppy. And he was laying on my chest as I'm watching. And I just picked him up, put him to my side. And I just face palmed for about 20 minutes because they were up 3 touchdowns. They weren't going to keep throwing. But we're 19-22, right? So 19 guys we've said we're going to score touchdowns. They did. 22 didn't. But if you are $100 better, you're up $2,600 if you're just playing the anytime touchdowns that we're giving out. Honestly, on the graphics for free, in the Discord, we say it on the show all the time too. So maybe this is the year where we just crush the anytime TD markets.
Yeah.
And one of the guys we had scoring a touchdown was T. Higgins. Perfect segue into one of the games I definitely want to discuss. Maurice, I have been saying for years that the only guy who I think does not fear Pat Mahomes is Joe Burrow. We obviously know about the record that he has against them in the NFL. I've also been on this case, Mo. I don't know if you've seen some of the clips where I think football is pretty dumb. And I love football. A lot of it doesn't make sense, bro. I'll be honest. I'm a Giants fan. We didn't have Neighbors and we didn't have Singletary, and we dominated the Seahawks yesterday. And then, a couple weeks ago, they're playing the Cleveland Browns, Defensive Player of the Year, Myles Garrett. And all of a sudden, Daniel Jones has 9 Mississippi to throw. I'm like, what is happening? This is the best defensive line, one of the best defensive lines in the league. So I'm on this take that football is dumb, right? And the reason why I say that with this is I think the most ridiculous thing we do in sports media is wins and losses for quarterbacks. Because Joe Burrow and the Bengals are 1-4 this year, which means Joe Burrow is 1-4. All their losses are by a combined 15 points. He's actually 15-1 to win MVP still. He's having a career year. His numbers are out of control. He is lighting it up, had 5 touchdowns against the Ravens. And I think, Mo, that the dumbest thing we do as media is wins and losses for quarterbacks. What do you think about that?
I would agree. One, I didn't realize that he was performing that well while they were, what do you say, 1-3 or 1-4?
1-4, yes.
Yes, I think it's dumb considering all of the other things that go into it. If you said he's having a phenomenal year, and they're 1-4, I would naturally look at 2 things: the defense, and I would look at coaching. I don't think I don't think the average fan, and not calling you all average fans, I'm just talking about the average fan out in the universe. I don't think the average fan understands that coaching at the professional level is not high school. It is not collegiate football. You have some of the best minds in the world playing chess with people's offenses and defenses and special teams. And so it sounds to me as if they're getting out-schemed and out-coached, and Joe Burrow is doing everything he can do. But we're still categorizing and claiming who's better than who based on wins and losses when that's not the full story. And that just may be lazy media, and if you've only had it said to you that way, it kind of just talks about who's been in the market and who's been defining it, right? It takes effort to say, hey, how should we redefine the quarterback and their successes or their failures? And, maybe this is part of that conversation, but it's lazy media for one. The second part is I look at the Cincinnati Bengals and ask who's their defensive coordinator, who's on the other side of the ball for them. And then the third point I forgot, but I don't want to ramble and babble on.
No, you're good because I immediately looked at Dan Pitcher. He's the offensive coordinator for the Bengals. It's his first season doing it. And the first thing I said to Nick when he said that we're going to be talking about this game, because this game legitimately made me sick. For you to have Lamar Jackson, who was torching you all day, make the biggest mistake of the game and fumble the snap, and then you have the ability to kick a chip shot field goal to win in overtime, bro. It was literally the equivalent to this shit's cashed. I'm happy as fuck. And then they run 3 consecutive run plays while they're on the 40-yard line. It was the most conservative play calling. And I'm like, Joe Burrow's having a career year, and you're not going to try to make the field goal manageable. It was nuts.
Come on, what kind of offense was that?
That was a bitch-ass offense.
No. What do we 3 condom sex offense.
Oh my God, it was the safest sex, bro.
It was strictly missionary, Mo. It was 3 condoms to be extra safe, and they pulled out as it was happening, right? Because exactly to your point.
Should have took 3 knees.
Bro, Joe Burrow was lighting them up, right? I have these rants, Mo, about like I hate analytics in football. When they say, oh, the analytics say this, the analytics say that. Well, do the analytics tell me that Joe Burrow's my quarterback, or is it Zach Wilson, what I should do on 4th and 2, right? And to your point, carving up the Ravens defense, whatever he wanted, you get that turnover and you run 3 straight plays.
You're not in like comfortable field goal range.
And that's the thing, like your kicker, and also the kicker
mind.
got mushed because the announcer, Maurice, I don't know if you caught this, he was like, he hasn't missed a 4th quarter or a overtime field goal to tie or to win the game in his NFL career. And the moment that happened, as someone that had bet the Bengals, I'm like, uh-oh. And then he shanks it and misses it to the left. But again, dude, Mo, does it upset you as much as it upsets me when you see game to game, your planning and what you think your system is going to be and how you're going to execute it? Shouldn't it change when you get there and you see, Burrow, Chase and Higgins went nuclear on them. Burrow is doing whatever he wants. Yeah, be what got you to the dance. Keep that. Don't start handing the ball off 3 times and then you're settling for something so crazy. That's true. We're asking a running back. Yeah, Mo, how do you feel about that?
No, but it goes like so we have some of the best brains that call the games at the professional level, but even at the professional level, you still have people who understand the system you come out of, understand who taught you, understand your habits, your nuances, and all of those things. All of that stuff is being talked about all week. Who taught the offensive coordinator, who taught the defensive coordinator, what are their tendencies? I'll tell you like this: one day, I wish people had the ability to go inside of just these football teams. I don't know if you call it like their brain trust, and just see how much information or how much data that is given to you, be it on coaches, tendencies, first down, second down, third down, situational football, everything. It is like ridiculous. And so I forgot to answer my question because I started to get into that and I lost my train of thought. But lo and behold, it doesn't surprise me how some people get to the dance, get to the moment, and then they end up getting flustered because the moment is too big or their initial game plan isn't working, and sometimes they stumble over their feet as to what to call. That doesn't surprise me because me being back at Ohio State and being on the field and watching how other teams can adjust, and there's other elements of like, there's things that I want to do and things that I want to call, but I don't have the personnel for it, or somebody may be getting dominated up front. Like there's all, like, as you're talking to me, I'm back into the fold of football and have more of like an on the field sideline perspective and understanding how many inputs go into that. And so the majority of the time things aren't happening. I'm blaming it on the inability of the coaches to adjust.
I love that you said that because it's so true. And whenever we get into the playoffs, and we should probably start doing it in the regular season too, like it does not matter if there is a coaching mismatch, you got to bet it. Tonight, coaching mismatch. We're recording this on Monday. Spagnuolo against Kubiak's
and
offense.
Dennis Allen,
and Dennis Allen. It's just like it's not going to work out well for the Saints. And lo and behold, the Chiefs whoop that ass tonight. It's not shocking.
No, to Maurice's point too, one of the biggest bets I ever made in my life was that Super Bowl with the Eagles and the Chiefs. And ultimately, I'm backing Andy Reid and Pat Mahomes against two guys that are getting there for the first time.
Yep.
And even though they had to storm back and win, but the logic going into it, man, I have a massive advantage over there. We talk about that all the time.
Better decision makers. Yeah,
Right.
you just have to. So I get, who are your favorite coaches in the NFL? If I could just do like a little side tangent here, Mo, like who do you think are some of the best?
Oh, but just the favorite one, I feel silly saying it's two of them. It's Mike Tomlin and it is Andy Reid. And Andy Reid well, Bill Belichick isn't in the league anymore.
Right.
But just for obvious reasons, I enjoy Bill Belichick because his emphasis on defense and building your team and winning through defensive football. Of course, Tom Brady's a GOAT, but Tom Brady isn't who he is if you don't have those early onslaught years of the Bill Belichick defenses, right? Look at Andy Reid and what he's doing with Pat Mahomes, and he just has the ability to work wonders and whip wonders around people, and I think that's why they're winning. And then I just like Mike Tomlin's philosophy, and also Mike Tomlin had basically wrote me when I was in prison. I never met Mike Tomlin prior to me going to prison, and when he wrote me, Mike Tomlin at that point became one of my favorite people of all time, considering he was running the NFL franchise, never met me, but sent words of encouragement to me in prison when there was people I had known my whole life who didn't take the time to find me. So it was hats off to him. He's a high character guy. But then at the core of it, I'm a Browns fan, but then him basically being the Steelers head coach and just watching what they've done with that franchise, and since he's been coaching them, it's been phenomenal. So those are my three.
Yeah, man. And yeah, I agree with you. That's a hell of a list. And also you think of the tenure, right?
Mm-hmm.
He named guys that have been with that organization for, I mean, Andy Reid has now won more games with the Chiefs than he did with the Eagles.
That was a lot of games for the Eagles.
Yeah. And a lot of Chiefs fans now are like, oh no, we're claiming him. He's ours. He won the Super Bowls with us. Right. And then Tomlin's been there since 2007, 2008, like around there. So these are guys also, to his point, that these are the top coaches in the league, because also they're not cycling through, right? Like the Giants have been on 5 coaches in 7 years. That's a problem.
Yes.
Right? And then another guy who's had tenure, and I feel like we've been talking the last 12 minutes about the Bengals, but they lost. And Lamar Jackson and Harbaugh's also been there for a long time. Lamar Jackson this year is having an MVP season. Last year, I'll still say it, he was not the MVP of the regular season. He just won 2 marquee games on national television. It was the Monday Night Football game against the Niners. And Maurice, we were monitoring that because we gave out Christian McCaffrey as MVP at 150-1. And then some random ass dude walked by as we were talking about that segment in like week 4, and he was wearing a McCaffrey jersey. We're like, oh, bro, it's a sign. Right? Sports betting shit. The universe is telling us we got the running back going on, right? So we were rooting for that. And then what happens? It's been the new thing that we're talking about. December 1st, December 2nd, we're going to look at the rest of the schedule. Who has the most primetime games? Who's in the MVP combo? And who's going to make noise in those games? Because that's what Lamar won. He beat the Niners on Monday Night Football, and then he beat the Dolphins in that wild game. They kind of just smoked them, not even wild. But I say all that because Lamar this year is having MVP numbers. 9 touchdowns to 1 interception. What he's doing on the ground has been amazing. Derrick Henry looks like he hasn't lost a step at all. Everyone's talking about, Derrick Henry in December is going to wear on defenses. What about Derrick Henry now when he's fresh? That's not going to wear on defenses?
Phenomenal offensive line.
Yeah, with an awesome offensive line. And a lot of times guys get cut by teams not because they suck. They get cut because like, yo, bro, we can't pay you $15 million. Because our team is probably going to win 4 games. Remember the under on the Titans, 7.5 wins was my favorite bet across the entire NFL slate. But Lamar is on fire, man, and he's having an MVP season this year. Last year, I didn't think he was the MVP. I actually thought Dak Prescott was the MVP last year. But then what happened in the playoffs happened. But still, it's a regular season award. So the Ravens, man, they've won 3 straight games, and you can make a case that no one has more impressive wins on their resume than them. They dominate the Cowboys. They dominate the Bengals. Well, not dominate the Bengals, but they come back and they beat the Bengals. And they also have one of the worst losses. That's going to age terribly when they lost to the Raiders. Yep. So this is going to be one of those 0-2 teams that potentially might make the playoffs. and might make some noise. And hats off to Baltimore, bro. They've been cooking up.
Yeah. I
Buffalo too. Oh my God, I forgot the Buffalo game. It's because I saw my offensive player of the year bet almost go up in flames with Derrick Henry, and then my MVP Josh Allen decided to take the night off.
Yeah. No, that was bad. We had the Browns on the list, right?
Yeah.
For games that we're going to cover, because I know that you said you're how into the Browns are you, Mo? Are you like I'm dog pound all the way, or are you like halfway in?
No,
No.
I've been dog pound. I've been with the dog pound my whole life, and I'm a true Cleveland fan. It hurts my heart to see what we have going on. I'm not a. I was so happy last year when Flacco took the reins and he took us on a run, and I thought that we would build on that, but we sputtered and stuttered, and we just can't get it right, man. We're struggling right now.
Yeah, struggling is the right way to put it. Do you think that the owner has a gun to Stefanski's head and says, "Hey, you're going to keep playing Deshaun Watson"? Because that's certainly the way it feels.
I just tell you this. I just really believe it is hard for somebody to say, "Hey, I'm paying you $50 million, and I'm about to put somebody else in." And just somewhere in your head, you believe that since I'm paying this person 50 million. Okay, just think about this, right? This family, I think their fortune was built off of gas stations, the Love gas station series. I don't know all of where they built their fortune, but they built it, right? But in their mind, it's an ROI, it's a return on investment. What am I putting into something? What am I getting out of it, right? And they were the team who basically reset the entire quarterback market. And they were the ones saying, "Hey, we're going to get behind Deshaun Watson. We're going to stay with him through all his issues that he has, and he's going to figure it out." And I just really believe that it's this hope, right? Like, okay, this is a gambling show, right? How somebody keeps on chasing a bet, and they just keep on chasing and chasing and chasing and chasing. They're chasing lost money of some sort. I think this is the same thing where you're hoping that he gets it right one week or he figures it out, but it just doesn't seem to be being figured out. But I think there's so much money at stake that you say, how do I justify putting $50 million on the bench? I don't know. That's my personal opinion.
Yeah. Yeah, no, that's the way it looked like when Stefanski was looking at him walk off on that 4th and short situation. That was bad. You kind of look like Kevin Stefanski a little bit, Nick.
Do I really?
I look low-key.
All right.
Yeah.
Successful guy.
You could be his cousin.
Yeah. Why not? Prototypical white guy on the sideline. That's the look I'm going for. I want to chime in more so. I don't really want to talk about the Browns, man. No offense to Ohio. Shout out to you, Maurice, but I'm kind of good on the Cleveland Browns for many, many reasons. I just find them boring too. Like there's nothing for me. If you're gonna suck, at least be exciting. Also, that's something I've had a pet peeve with the Giants all these years. Like when they first got Odell, they were a 6-win team, but they were putting up 30 a game. Odell was making plays. They were at least fun, and it was a joy. Cleveland is just dull. I can't tell you how many times I forgot Amari Cooper's on that team. And he's a really good wide receiver still, but he's just a forgotten guy there because Deshaun can't get him the ball. They're built on the defense, but then the defense, when you look at it last year, they benefited playing a lot of shitty quarterbacks also. But then when they went on the road, they gave up 15 more points than they did at home. And then they go into that playoff game against Houston and they get lit up. So for me with Cleveland, I'm good on Cleveland. I want to talk about Washington. Man, Jayden Daniels, that dude is fucking balling out. He's been around in college. Like he was playing with Brandon Ayuk. There's a lot of rumors of him coming to the Raiders with the draft because Antonio Pierce, when he got named head coach, he was on the staff at Arizona State. So there was a lot of ties to that, and who knows how different that would have been if he came to the Raiders. But again, we talk about scenario and circumstances playing into it. But Maurice, there hasn't been a rookie to win MVP since Jim Brown. He is minus 300 for Offensive Rookie of the Year right now, which means basically JAY has been written on the Rookie of the Year trophy already. He's the 6th favorite for MVP. They're 4-1. I said that there's always a worst to first team. I bet Dan Quinn to be coach of the year at 20-1 because I felt like if they were going to make the playoffs or if they were going to have a monster year, I didn't want to bet them to win the division at plus 900. I didn't want to bet Jayden Daniels at plus 500 to win it. I thought it would be Dan Quinn. He checks the boxes. First year coach, exceeds expectation. So I was kind of on them if things did turn out, but I didn't see this, Mo. I did not see him being the sixth favorite for MVP and him being a rookie. What do you think the ceiling is on him for at least this season?
I don't think it's any season. I don't think it's any ceiling. And I think this is the same thing. You can attribute this to COVID, right? Look at how old he is. Look at how old Bo Nix is. Look at how old Michael Penix is. I think that a lot of these guys who have come into the league over these last 2 or 3 years who end up getting those COVID years and staying an extra year, I think that these guys have just seen a lot more reps, right? And you can say it like this, right? It's like you go out and you have some success at Arizona State. You go down to LSU. Your confidence gets built because you go out and be the best person in the country down at LSU and go win the Heisman Trophy. And then you come into a situation where just coaches believing in you and seeing what you can do and building the offense around that. But you've had a chance to develop in college, whereas a lot of kids when they're 23 or 24 or 22, 23, 24, those are their rookie seasons. They're still not getting those high quality reps. They're on the bench somewhere or getting passed around, and they're being restricted in regards to what they can, do once they do get in the league. So I would just say, man, all of those guys who've benefited from being in college a little bit longer because of COVID, and then ultimately coming into the league with some success and him doing it in the SEC against some of the best players in the country. I just think all of that stuff attributes to what he's doing now. I'm a big Jayden Daniels fan. And it's weird because I didn't really know who he was at the beginning of last year, but I had a chance to see him at the end of his college season last year, and I became a fan when him and Michael Penix were duking it out for the best quarterback in the country. But I just think like sky's the limit, bro. It's only up from here.
Hey Mo, I got a quick question for you. Terry McLaurin, Ohio State.
Ohio State.
What is it about Ohio State, man, that you guys just produce fucking stud after stud after stud wide receiver? We had Brandon Marshall on the show about a year and a half ago, and I asked him who's the best wide receiver in the league that no one talks about. I couldn't even finish the sentence. He said Terry McLaurin, and that's always been my answer. And now you're seeing him flourish because he got a quarterback. What is it about Ohio State that you guys produce these fucking out of control wide receivers?
I just think it's aside from the coaching and just me being down here, and I say it now, it's just the professional environment. And so if you see some of these kids, man, it just like it blew my mind just even going down there, just how they prepare, how they practice, how they get on the field, the drills that they do, the intensity that they do on that, the amount of attention to detail through the film session, the intensity with the coaching, the just the intentionality in regards to what these guys are doing, right? And I think at some point when you had Mike Thomas and when you had just some of those guys earlier that came in with Urban Meyer when he was here, I think some of those guys kind of set the bar and then are established a standard as to how you prepare, how you practice, and what you go out there and do. You just got more of the same who's come in. And then now, lately we have Marvin Harrison, then you have Jeremiah Smith. I don't think that this thing is going anywhere down anytime soon. And so when you look at just some of the kids who are down there now, like Carnell Tate and Emeka Ubuka, I forget how I say his last name. I feel embarrassed even saying it because I see the guy and praise him every week. But you're going to have more of the same. You got 3 or 4 guys right now who you can grab from their program and put them on any NFL team. And I guarantee you these guys play 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 years just from their level of professionalism, their attention to detail, and just how they carry themselves. I'm talking about like when I was in school and we were done with games, it was how do we party? How do we hang out? How do we enjoy this collegiate experience? Like these kids are worried about recovery rooms and getting massages and taking care of their bodies and getting together to watch film with guys and just talking about basically being professionals now. So that's what these guys are doing. They're professionals earlier and they're going to the league and they're basically showing you what they've been doing these past, throughout their entire lives.
I mean, even Jackson Smith and Jigba, he scored a touchdown yesterday. I feel like he's becoming more and more involved in that offense with DK Metcalf and Lockett.
Yep.
He's been there for so long, but I think Jackson Smith now, it's like, all right, we got to feed this guy the ball more and more.
Yeah.
And he's balling, man. Yeah, it's been fun what's happening in Washington. I know I'm a Giants fan, but one of my best friends, Josh, is a Commanders fan, and he's like, bro, I fucking love this dude. Like, just a leader. You've needed an adult in that organization for a while with all the chaos that has been around that franchise. And that dude is just coming in, and he's a culture changer. And just the way the guys like rock with him, right, it goes a long way. And even Terry McLaurin he's probably looking like, oh my God, I could run 50 yards downfield and someone could get me the ball. I didn't just do a sprint. He's been cooking yesterday too. He had another monster game. Another game I want to discuss. My worst take of the year was that the Minnesota Vikings were going to win 4 games. I thought that they were snake bit. So much shit coming into the season. Red flag after red flag after red flag. They moved to 5-0. The Jets are 2-3. Them and the Chiefs are the only undefeated teams in the NFL. Mo, do you trust Sam Darnold and the Vikings, or do you still need to see more?
I'm going to believe that if we couldn't trust them before, that they figured something out. And if it wasn't what we anticipated it being before the season, they figured out something that will carry them on to more victories. I just don't see how you can start off 5-0, then go out and crash the rest of your season. I think that guys have confidence. They think that they can win. And if nothing else, they found a system that works for him, right? On It Is What It Is last week. Remember, I told you, I used to kill Baker Mayfield. I thought Baker Mayfield, after leaving Cleveland, that his career was heading downhill, but he bounced around to Carolina. He bounced around to the Rams. But obviously, he found a coordinator, just like Kirk Cousins did last week in Atlanta. Excuse me, I think that was Thursday Night Football or whatever. I don't know.
Yeah.
When he lit up the scoreboard, I think that it came down to somebody finding the appropriate system for them, and a coordinator finding the appropriate system for them, and something being able to work with that skill set. And I'll live and die on that. Some of your favorite players aren't bad. Some of your favorite players may be in bad systems that don't favor their skill sets. And so I think that he's just in the appropriate system right now that favors his skill set.
I mean, shit, we talk about all the time, where talking to former pros, whether it's basketball, CJ Watson comes on the show often, and we've always told them, like, bro, if you were given the opportunities, like, I could get 40 every night if they chalked up and let me go out there and shoot 28 times, but you got to know your role, you got to know your system. And yeah, it's unfortunate, man. Like, I'm always so in favor of whenever teams cut lottery picks in the NBA or they dump them. My bro, the kid's 21. They come into the league at 18, 19 years old. Of course they're going to fuck up, or they're going to have some distractions off the court. Maurice, I talk about this all the time. I'll be 34 in March. If I get handed $10 million,
oh, there's going to be bad
I'm doing some dumb shit, bro. I'm going to do some dumb shit. Now imagine if I'm 18 or 19. A lot of my friends back home are like, bro, if I moved to Vegas, I'd be dead. I wouldn't be able to survive. I'm like, well, if I moved here at 21 as opposed to 31, probably be a different conversation. So this idea that a kid gets drafted to a franchise in any sport, and after 2 years, they haven't figured it out, and we're just like, get rid of this guy. He sucks. He's a clown. It's like, chill, bro. He's got some times. Maybe the system sucks. And you're looking at Baker, even though they lost last week, lit it up. You're looking at Sam Darnold now. It also helps he has Justin Jefferson and Addison. Haven't even gotten Hawkinson back, right? Like, he has an offensive mind head coach who's like, yo, bro, we'll figure this out. We'll do what you do really well, and we'll just do that shit often. And then we have a defense that's going to blitz the shit out of you. And one of the reasons why I liked the Jets last week, there were Ursulita, because it was a gross pick because we saw them lose to the Broncos. I thought that, man, Rodgers has seen all that.
Yeah.
And then you saw the stunt that they put with the pick six that he threw.
Yeah.
The show and drop. It's like, damn, bro, you just made him look foolish. And he had 3 interceptions, the 6th time in his career that's happened. And Maurice, that's my Super Bowl pick were the Jets. So I'm a little nervous, bro.
That's an understatement.
Bro, I saw a graphic. It was like Rodgers, when he throws 3 interceptions, 6 games, 0-6. It's like, no shit. Like, if you can win a game while throwing 3 interceptions, like, it was just one of those pointless graphics. I was like, I can't believe this dude really typed this out. But yeah, Nick, they're in trouble. And the London game, bro, I can only imagine how the flight feels on the Achilles for Rodgers going across the pond. Yeah. It was bad from the get-go. Did you really bet that game?
Yeah, I bet
that one.
Oh, I went 0-3. I went 0-3 on my picks, and all 3. I know sometimes everyone says this as a sports bettor. I feel like I made the right choices in all 3. It just wrong result, right bet, wrong result, right? The Bengals are up 2 scores with 5 minutes left. They lose the game outright.
Yeah,
right. The Jets had a chance to win the game in the end, but that's also a miscommunication between him and Mike Williams, I think. Right. By the way, Ohio State, Garrett Wilson had 22 targets. That's fucking absurd, bro.
Yeah.
22 targets. And it was like the last one that he caught and scored the touchdown to cash my bet. The Jets right now at the moment are 30-1 to win the Super Bowl. They're plus 325 to win the division. They sit at 2-3. Maurice, do you think there's a disconnect between Aaron Rodgers and the coaching staff? I feel like that's been a hot button topic. He kind of defended that little shove incident that they had a couple weeks ago because he always says how Robert Saleh likes to hug, and he kind of just like beat him to it. And the way they both handled it in the media after, it was kind of like a throwaway. But then you see the disconnect now. Is there something to that, or are we just overanalyzing?
Man, come on, man. You know that's some bullshit.
Yeah, that was.
Yeah, to me, the whole world knows some bullshit, man. And here you go. You have a dude who probably thinks he knows more than the coach and probably does in some regard playing the quarterback position, right? And I just know when you have players who think that they know more than the coach, it's hard to get them to buy into whatever the person is trying to do because you always got something to say or you always have things on how they should go or how they went in Green Bay and all that other bullshit. But at the end of the day, I think that's what you're running into. And he's just a little older. I think when players get a little bit older, I've been in the league. For the most part, I think I'm the Brady of the league right now, and that's kind of where it's at. You know what I mean? And let's call it what it is, man. This isn't the Aaron Rodgers of 10 years ago, 7 years ago, 5 years ago. It's just not the same person, right? And I think that sometimes as players get older, we get caught into I remember what they did and think that they can do that same thing again. I'm going to tell you when I stopped losing faith in players. This is just modern day. When I start to see players on social media or in interviews more than I see them on the field, like shut the fuck up and play them, I just think that they checked out. You know what I'm saying? And so every time I see him, he on fucking Pat McAfee or he got something to say somewhere. So I just think when players' minds are in that space, their minds isn't on playing the game because like when you have hungry dogs, those dudes worry about working. They don't give a fuck about the media. But once a guy starts talking, that motherfucker thinking about his life after football.
Yeah, no, they start paving the path now, Mo. They realize it's the end of the road. Let me show the camera what I can do, and hopefully I can get the Romo send off.
I mean, bro, I couldn't agree with him more because in the fight game, the one thing I hate, Maurice, I hate when the R word gets mentioned, retirement, and the fighter's like, "Oh yeah, I might retire after this." Ain't betting on you, bro. I can't pick you. You're checked out. It's the same thing. And like, yo, it was, it never made the show, but one time we were talking during It Is What It Is, and Cam, Mace, and Maurice were talking about like, man, it's so dumb that these athletes rather make $500K with a sponsor on a podcast and neglect the $17 million they're making a year or $40 million if you're an NBA guy. And it takes away from that, right? Like, again, don't forget the main thing is the main thing. It's one of the most powerful things that Maurice has ever said on the show and on social media because it's true because people get sidetracked. Like, yo, you're making $40 million a year as a quarterback, but you're going to go and even McAfee has said that, yeah, I pay him to come on. Like, how much could he possibly give you?
Yeah,
that would get you off the field and not as productive, And look, man, the Jets All my buddies are Jet fans. They've been through it. He still makes 5 to 6 throws a game where I'm like, I'll text them and say, you guys have never seen anyone make this throw. And they're like, yeah. And he just did another one that we've never seen before. But it shouldn't look as bad. And I don't know what's happened to Breece Hall. You're a running back. What's happened to Breece Hall? How come he's playing better with Zach Wilson and Mike White, but he gets Aaron Rodgers, and now all of a sudden he's the biggest disappointment in fantasy? He's one of the most wagered players for Offensive Player of the Year, and he's kind of been laying eggs left and right.
I tell you, so everything is scheme, right? Some players are good within the zone system. Some players are good in gap and scheme. If you have a certain quarterback on the field, this quarterback, excuse me, may be great at throwing deep balls and he's great at throwing deep outs and so on and so forth. So we have to bring the appropriate coverage. I would have to get into the film to find out like what makes him struggle with one quarterback versus with somebody else. But I'm telling you, that's it. You know, schemes and personnel make offense and it makes defense. And so what you can call, what you can't call, what a defense feels threatened by, what they don't feel threatened by, just all of that stuff, all of that nuance goes into it. But it typically comes down to what can this quarterback, like the quarterback basically dictates everything, right? Can the quarterback get a deep ball? Do they have somebody to go run deep? Okay, that's going to push your safeties back, right? And then after that, you know, how do they play with their nickel back or their flex backer to bring him in the box to basically stop the run? All of that stuff, that little nuanced stuff and understand personnel is all of the inputs that basically develops game plan. So if I said that, like, you know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna come to Vegas, man. We're just gonna sit and watch a game, and I'm gonna just talk to you how I see the game, and hopefully that gives you some understanding.
Nah, dude, I love it. I used to do a show with Will Blackman. Played 14 years in the NFL. Won a Super Bowl. Yes, won a Super Bowl with the Giants. Us two were doing a show together, and I've told this story so many times, but I thought he was bullshitting me. We were watching the game together up in his room, and we had room service come in, and he's sitting like this on the table with his feet up, and he's eating chicken wings, and he called 4 straight plays. You know, the first one, I'm like, I've seen certain plays, and I'm like, oh, this guy's coming in motion, he's gonna hit him out the flat right away. But he did it 4 in a row: handoff left, swing pass to the running back to the right, tight end pop, tight end is uncovered, and I'm just like, man, for as much as I think I know football, and I think I know a fair amount for someone that's never played at the professional level, Maurice is talking about him coming to watch a game with us. Maurice, you got to see me throw a 20-yard out, bro.
It's elite. It's elite. Some have said.
Many have said, and many is me, I can throw an NFL combine 20-yard out.
There we go.
Right? So we're going to have to get Maurice to watch the game with us and then judge me on my 20-yard outs. But to tie it all back, it's true, man. There's levels to everything. And the way he sees the game, the way a Will Blackman sees the game, we just can't see it. It's the same thing with fighting. One of the reasons, Maurice, as we start to wrap up, man, and I can't thank you for your time and coming on the show, and I'm sure we'll do this again next time in studio. Would love to have you on. Yes. One of the reasons why I wanted to train martial arts is I didn't want to be that guy to critique fights having never fought or done anything in martial arts. And I know not everyone does have the luxury, and it's so hard to play college football or to play football at any level, honestly. Like we're around it so much, you don't realize how many people never have played it. Mm-hmm. And there's just always levels to it, man. And being able to understand it, having played at any level, there is levels to understanding the games. And those perspectives, I always appreciate guys like Maurice, guys like Will Blackman, guys like Brandon Marshall giving us time on the show, because they give us these gems, man. I've been taking notes on things that I'm going to clip later, and it's just been fantastic. And I'm going to take up that offer, man. We're going to be at a sports book because you're going to tell us what you're seeing, and we're going to degen off that.
Yeah, we're going to live play it. Against Will.
Yeah. That's what we're doing.
Yeah.
No, so you actually pointed out something very, I always say it. I enjoy boxing because I was in a boxing gym all throughout high school, and I had to stop when I went to college because there wasn't anything in Columbus, right? So from about 7th grade to about 12th grade, I was in the boxing gym. I'm a huge boxing fan because I understand what's trying to be accomplished versus what's actually happening. The reason that I can't get into UFC fighting is because I don't understand who's trying to do what, right? I love the mentality of fighters. I love when I see people get knocked out, right? But when two people are sitting in front of each other or some engaging or grappling or fighting takes place, I don't understand what's trying to be achieved. So I can't form an opinion on what's going to happen. But I think a lot of people feel like that with every sport. But I don't think a lot of people jumping in the cage or jumping into a martial arts class and try to figure it out.
Yeah, you ain't kidding, bro.
Yeah.
You ain't kidding.
Maurice, you ever think about doing one of those like celebrity like comeback boxing matches? Now that we know that you're come on for the money.
Hey, I had a segment last week on the show. I talked about Bud Crawford. It's to me, I will only defend myself if I have to. But I tell you like this, man. I got older, and I remember I was older when I got back out of prison. And I went to go play football, right? And when somebody hit me, I was like, this shit hurt, man. Like your mind just have to be in the right place for this shit. You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
I couldn't imagine somebody punching me in my fucking face. Like I'm not signing up for that. You know, I'll watch other people box. I'm a huge fight fan in regards to boxing. I would go to a USC fight just to enjoy the atmosphere and just the degenerate level of behavior. I do enjoy that shit, right? I just enjoy people fighting, but
Yeah.
I'm not getting in no ring and letting nobody whoop my ass.
Yeah, nah, you can't. It's crazy. And even me, like a lot of my friends want me to start sparring and doing all this shit. I'm like, bro, listen, this is what I do for a living. Let me have my little jujitsu. Let me not look like I know how to fight. Right. I think that's why I say I'm the most dangerous kind of martial artist because I don't really look like I know how to fight, but I can whoop some ass if needed to.
Dude, but what if we get Mo to train you on your striking? You get Jerry with the jujitsu, and you have Maurice Clarett and Jerry in your
my corner. That'd be a fucking gangsta ass corner, that's for sure.
Just saying,
I'm just
trying to paint the picture.
We had Treasure come by the gym today. We shot some content. It was super dope, man. It was super dope, and so was this conversation with you, Mo.
Yes.
You're the man, dude. Everything that I said to you on the show, I sincerely mean it. It's been cool to connect with you, and you know, off the record, on the record, but like off the show, him and I talk all the time. We'll text each other ideas and whatnot. And then I know anytime Maurice calls me, even if it's like, yo, real quick, I look up, it's 52 minutes have gone by. And I enjoy it, man. Because again, you're giving me free game, whether it's from football, whether it's ideas, whether it's life. And it means a lot to me, man. I never would have thought that Maurice Clarett would be someone I would text and call on a daily basis. I never would have thought that Cam and Mace would call me on a daily basis. Life is so crazy. To bring it full circle to what you were saying before, I appreciate you, bro. Thank you for everything. Thank you for the time. And I'm looking forward to you pulling up to Vegas, and then we do one of these in person.
Got y'all. Well, thank y'all for having me. Thanks to everybody who supports Veterans Minimum. And my brother, to both of you all, peace, love the rest of the day, and I'm out of here.
My
All right,
man.
brother. Thank you.
Man. Oh, yeah. All right. George, let's do a Monday winner, and then we'll close up the show.
I know, man. What a electric conversation, bro.
Oh, dude. Yeah.
My cheeks hurt from smiling so much. Like, you ever have those?
Yeah, dude. And let me say, man, I'm going to give you a lot of credit for this one, for this show. Because if it wasn't for a conversation you and I had a couple weeks ago, I probably don't have this conversation with Maurice tonight. Because for so long, I wanted to have it in person. I'm like, nah, bro, we have access to the studio. When they come to Vegas, like, dude, why not just...
You got to.
There's so many shows that are successful that are over the computer. Why not? But I like the in-person. There's an energy. There's a vibe to it. There's body language. There's a lot of things that go into it.
You guys have already talked a lot. Like, it was so natural.
Yeah, and that's the thing. And to your point, and the reason why I'm giving you credit for that is because if you didn't open my mind to it, now I'm like, yo, all these resources, bro, let's get them to call in for a half hour or an hour and a half, as long as we've had Maurice on. So yeah, it was dope, man. It was dope. And shouts to him. I'll make sure I have the social media handles in there. Show him some love. He always shows love to the show. He's actually reposted this show a bunch. Yeah, even when like it's just us talking and yapping and doing our normal thing. All right, Monday winners. Let's wrap the show with this. Just a little bit of an update. We are 3-1-1 on Monday winners this year. Last week, we had the Bengals +3. That pushed. George, do you have a bet that you like for Sunday today?
Man, You had brought up the Cowboys, and I'm going to do you one better. I'm riding the Jets train.
Whoa.
Jets +3. It gets better from here. Aaron Rodgers realizes that, you know what? He gets a little extra recovery, right? They're coming back from London, but this is a Monday night game. This is prime time. The Bills defense, bro, is suspect. Like, I feel like Sean McDermott just plays shit like too conservative. And for the Jets to be getting 3 points at home Monday Night Football, I don't like it. I love it. I love it. This line does move, by the way. I would see this line moving. I think it goes down a little bit.
So it opened at -1.5, and now it's +3 for the Jets. The Jets were the favorite when this line opened.
Yeah.
You know, I find it interesting because that was one of them. I'll probably stay away because the Jets are coming from London. I got to look more into it. So on the next show we do, on the preview show, I'll have more research done and more time put to what is the trend history of teams coming back from London. Because remember, a lot of teams usually, they take a bye after. But there's been a recent trend where teams come back and they're like, dude, I don't want a week 6 bye. I'd rather have a week 9 and 10 or 11 or whenever it might be. So it's going to be interesting to see what kind of information we could get on that. I'll tell you this much. I don't know if it's a Monday winner. Cowboys +3 at home against the Lions. I love Dak as an underdog, a dog at home. I'm a fan of. Lions coming off the bye week. I get it. There's a lot of sort of revenge narratives in there.
Yeah.
Where it was that wacky game last year that the Lions played with the lineman not being eligible, but he was, but then he wasn't, and all that weird shit. That's just one that's probably going to be Ursulita. Stay away from that.
Mm-hmm.
The other one that I think is super interesting that I like, early lean. Man, we got to go with Jacksonville, bro.
Yeah.
They're in London.
Right. So this would make sense.
They're 2.5 point underdogs in London against the Bears. Caleb Williams going out there. He just had a monster game and they beat the Panthers. You had the revenge narrative with DJ Moore. He scored 2 touchdowns, 16-1. You're welcome. I think it's going to be a lot for a young QB. And also the Jaguars last year, they won both their games when they were out there. This is the spot that you want to take the Jaguars. They just got their first win of the season. And I think
that's
that
a nice one.
This is the one that I'm looking at. The Jaguars in London. That's where I'm looking to go. And that's my Monday winner right now.
I'll toss the next one in there.
Yeah.
There's just so many home dogs this week where it just looks appealing. But the Seahawks on Thursday Night Football,
yeah,
the 49ers are literally getting exposed, bro. Bad team. But also the Seahawks lost to the Giants. But I think Giants are a little bit better than we've let on.
I don't know if I'm back yet.
Yeah, it's too tough to be back. It's a couple of weeks. It's a flash in the pan.
But yo, there's a lot of teams that are 2-3 right now. A lot of teams are 2-3, and good teams also.
Yeah,
right. The Niners are 2-3. This is something where now the Giants are 2-3, and I think that you're going to see. I want to see the Giants this week against the Bengals. Bengals can't afford to lose. Do the Giants beat them? Giants have one of the worst secondaries in the league. We just saw what Joe Burrow did. That's the Sunday Night Football game. That's going to be really interesting. But we'll have more. We'll have more on the show later this week. More Veterans Minimum. As far as I go, at Nick Dais 10 as you can find me. All things Veterans Minimum are at Veterans Minimum. Shout out to Maurice Clarett. It's at Maurice Clarett on social media. The links will be in the bio of where you can find them. George, where can they find you?
At Mr. George Carmona. And if you want to check out the podcast with my brother at Pin and Pool, we will be recapping what it was like to storm the field on the episode that is coming out on Wednesday. So that'll be fun. All right, Nick.
We'll catch you guys next time.
Peace. OHIO.
In his element, I'm a gold medalist, bronze like your medal is. So many deer in headlights, but it's bedtime. Hear that supper bell, main course be the venison.
Dab. Most dangerous game. Either kill or be